Okay, so recording. So you should have your plain text application up and you should be there at the W3 school site. You should see all this stuff. So the tab we're going to go to is under CSS. We're going to go to Introduction. And all the way down at the bottom, so it has the three different CSL types, right? It has inline and that, but we're going to go to external. Where's my external? Here it is. Kaboom. Okay, so copy all that. It's down at the bottom of the page, or I guess it's at the middle of the page. The page is not very large. And we're going to paste that into our plain text application. Now, on a Windows machine, here's how it works. Did I see somebody? So many people in the waiting room. Okay. We're going to do save as. Now I have this web design folder on mine. You can save it wherever you want. It doesn't really matter as long as all these files are in the same folder. So we'll call this CSS1. This is going to be our first style sheet document. And the next thing, we got to do .css. We got to give it the CSS extension. And then we save as type all files, right? Not text documents. If we save it as a .text file, well, the system's not going to realize it's a CSS file because it won't be. It'll be a text file. So we save it as all files, and that way we keep the CSS extension. So we save that. Boom. Okay. There's our web design folder. Now we have our CSS, and you should have some slightly different icon for a CSS file. Okay. The next one we're going to do, let's close that. We're going to make another notepad file for the HTML. So go to HTML, kaboom, go over here to introduction, that'll work. Okay, and we can grab this stuff. Actually, let's go to CSS so we don't even have to do everything from scratch. So down here at the external, right, and this one is again about partway through the page, grab this slug of text here. All right, so again, it's in the external CSS example. Just copy all that, and we are going to paste it. Boom. Okay, so you should see this. Now, the thing that's going to change, we're going to have a different link for our CSS file. So here in the head, right, this is the part that goes above the body of the document. It's not the header, it is the head. There's a difference. Okay, you need that href CSS1 because that's the file we saved it as. So what it is, it's going to say, oh, I'm grabbing a style sheet, and the reference for that style sheet is going to be this file, the file we just created a second ago. And then when you open this HTML document, it's going to apply that style to everything here. So you can save this, save as again. We shall do, well, let's call this page 1. And again, we have to do it as an HTML file, and then save as type, once again, all files. Because if we save it as a text file, it won't be an HTML file. So save that, boom. Then we can go back to our web design folder. If we want to, we can open up page 1 here, double click on that, and it works just like we thought it would. If we like, we can go edit our CSS file. Okay, let's save that as, or open it with Notepad. And suppose I want to change my background color to green. Okay, I can do that. And I can save it, close that out, and then when I open this page again, it's green. Incredible. How did that even happen? I don't know. Okay, but the important thing is the machine knows. They're the ones doing the work. Okay, so I'm going to pause things for a moment. That's our quick intro to HTML and CSS. So let's see. How are we all doing? Is everything good? Make sense? Any questions? I'm going to pause for a sip of Pepsi Max before we go on to the next step. That was more like a slug than a sip. Any questions on that? Those of you who are following along at home, is this all good? Oh, good, we have something. Could I see the code for HTML really quick? Yes, you can see that code really quickly. Okay, very quickly. There it is. Okay, but it's here on the, sorry, it's here on the W3 schools. So all I'm doing is I'm grabbing it from, let me move you out of the way. Okay, I'm grabbing it here from this HTML styles page. And I scroll down about that far, so we got CSS, inline CSS, internal CSS, boom, external CSS. This is all the text we're grabbing. Okay, and all we're doing there is we're overwriting this reference, styles.css, with our CSS1 CSS. Okay, that's what we're doing. Okay. All right, good. Anyway, I'll post up this code later. Now, play around with this a little bit. So let's go to the next step, right? We can do, let's see. Let's just walk through the details of it all. So remember, HTML, everything is built in tags. So I'm going to put in some indentations here so you can see a little bit better what goes where. Okay, so I'm going to, I guess I should do that as well. Okay. We can put in some spaces there. So this is the one, this is our whole document. Okay, so we're letting system know this is an HTML document. It's not some other kind of document. Then all of the HTML code itself, we have a tag here for that, right? So when our web browser builds the document object model, the tree, it says, everything is going to be this tag, right? This is the root tag. Everything's contained in here. Then we have a couple of other tags inside there. So we have our head. That's the stuff that goes above the body of the document. That's basically our instructions for how the document's going to be set up, formatted, that sort of thing. And then the body, right? The bulk of the HTML document in most cases. So here within the body, we have an H1 tag, we have a paragraph tag, right? And they're both nested within each other. So if we were going to build the tree on this, this is what it would look like. We would have one for HTML, right? This is all our stuff, HTML. And then that has two things below it, right? It has the head, it has the body. And then below that, the head has the link for the style sheet. And we see that none of the tags are crossing over. All right, so I'm going to draw the lines in a second. And here, I believe we have, let me go back to the document. We have an H1 and a paragraph. That makes sense. Okay, so this is the layout of our tree. Okay, so again, key things to remember with HTML, your tags should not overlap, right? So since the head contains the link, if we go back and look at our document, the entire link tag is contained within the opening and closing tags of the head. And again, you'll get a feel for this as you do more HTML. Some tags, you can omit the closing tag, right? And it's not a problem. And others, there are situations where you can omit the closing tag. For example, since there's only one tag here in the head, right? I mean, yeah, it wouldn't be wrong to close out the link, but it's unnecessary. There's nothing else in the header, and so because of that, the system is going to say, oh, well, we started this, we don't have a closing tag for it, but we can infer that we need one, so we're just going to go ahead and do that. When we close out this heading, this head tag, it's also going to close out the link tag contained in it. Okay, when we have the body here, since we have a couple tags, to keep them separate, we close them out. And again, for the same reason, you wouldn't really need to close out the paragraph tag because it's the last one in the body. And again, when the body tag closes out, it's going to infer that the paragraph tag also is getting closed out. Okay. All right. So that's our quick thing for HTML. Questions on this stuff? Nothing? We're good? All makes lots of sense. I hope it does. Okay. And again, let's flash back over to the CSS then, and close that out. Or let's save that, why not? Back here, again, CSS, let's open that with Notepad. Boom. So remember, the basic format for how to do this, we have an attribute that we want to format on a particular page. We enclose it in squiggly brackets, and then there are various terms for the style attributes you want to change. Right, so here we're changing the formatting on an H1 tag, and we're changing the color and the alignment. Here on the paragraph tag, we're changing the font, what used to be called the face, but now the font family here in CSS, and then the size. So again, this 20 pixels, it's not an exact size. It's going to change depending on your browser and the state of your browser. But one thing's for sure, 20 pixels is going to be bigger on any given screen than 18 pixels on the same screen, for example. So whatever size window you have, the size of the font you see will be proportional to that. But the bigger numbers just mean bigger fonts, and you'll have to figure out what looks good on your screen. Okay, so that's part of things like auto sizing and, you know, responsive pages, that sort of thing. Okay, so good. And if you want to learn more, again, there's all these different attributes. I don't expect people to, you know, roll out of bed this morning and they'll all be like, oh yeah, I know how to code everything in CSS. But all the basics that you need, they're all over here, right? So all of these attributes, it talks about how to set them up, right? So example, if you want to look up how to do fonts, right, we could set up the font family. That's an attribute, right? So the font family property. Go to the next one, font style property, right? We could do things like italics, although you can do other things with it. So you have normal, italics, oblique. You can do the weight of a font, so it can be normal or bold. You can do some kind of variant font. Ooh, small caps, freaky, right? Okay, Google. All right, grab other ones too. Okay, and font size. So all the different properties, again, you won't have to memorize anything for this part of the course, but here's your CSS reference. So all the little things you're going to need, you can generally look them up here. All right, so we got some chat. Let's see who's got what. Okay, you can save it at whatever you want. Okay, so somebody asked, what did we save the HTML file as? I saved it. I'm going to blow up my folder here. I saved it as page 1, but it doesn't matter what you call it. You call it whatever you want. The point is, within your page 1 code, right, the main thing is this, that your style sheet reference, right, css1.css, the main thing there is that it matches the name of your CSS file. I can call this HTML file whatever I want. I can call it Doug's super awesome HTML page. Yeah. Okay, I can call it that. And it displays the same. Doesn't matter. Okay, good. All right. Well, that was that. I'm going to do a little pause on this because that's my CSS. We'll do JavaScript in just a moment. I stop the share. And I'm going to, where's my recording tab? There we go.